We are the trade gods, and we got something good for you. Happy 4th of July weekend. Hopefully, everybody had a great holiday. We have Devon Achane and a 27 round 2 pick for Garrett Wilson. 2 quarterbacks, Superflex League, 12 teams, start 10, so semi depth, nothing too crazy. PPR full settings. No tight ends in this situation, but of course, 0.5 tight end premium. There could be a second round pick in 2027, but that's a little bit far off. Chev, I've got my opinion on this, but give me your breakdown on Achane, essentially Achane versus Garrett Wilson here.
So basically, where I come in at is I've got both of these guys are one of the hottest names in all of Dynasty in terms of their value going up over the course of the offseason. One for Garrett Wilson because of the fact that Garrett Wilson has Justin Fields. They have a collegiate connection. They're coming in with the offensive coordinator that is from Detroit. Aaron Glenn is also the first branch off of the Dan Campbell tree. So we're hoping that Garrett Wilson becomes a target hog in the manner that Amon-Ra St. Brown did. Tanner Engstrand is tasked with that responsibility. Now, with Devon Achane, we got a decrease in efficiency, but an entirely different level of a bell cow workload. He led the position in reception. So, and he averaged 17 points a game. He averaged 17.5 as a rookie, 17.6 as a sophomore or a second year player, 17.5 as a rookie in 11 games. He played all 17 games. He did leave parts of those games, but handled 281 touches. So I feel like the ceiling with Achane is almost Chris Johnson-esque. So I'm firmly on the Achane side because of the fact that he has game-breaking, league-winning upside, and we haven't seen the best from him. He catches passes. He's the primary option in the backfield in an offense that we expect to return more to form. They were top 5 in 2023 in total touchdowns as a team. They dropped down to 5th lowest. I want to say 29th or 28th in total touchdowns, with just 34 in 2024. So I expect that to return to form. I do believe that Mike McDaniel is a very talented play caller. So I'm firmly on the Devon Achane side, and being able to get a plus with Devon Achane for Garrett Wilson is something that I'm all about.
This really goes against the sentiment, though, of blue chip players because we're very high on Garrett Wilson. So when you get a trade like this, you kind of have to pause and just sit there for a moment. But I'm right there with you on Devon Achane. I've been a truther on Achane when he was a double digit and beyond pick. And then, of course, when he gets to the third round, oh no, it's too expensive. When he was a second round pick, and he's creeping up now after this trade with Jonnu Smith into the first round, latter round one, there's more players than picks available for first round talent to 12 picks in a first round draft. Just simple math. But I've had this argument that Devon Achane should be a first round pick. All of a sudden, there's all this steam with the post Jonnu Smith trade, 111 targets up for grabs. I'm going with Devon Achane. I took Garrett Wilson recently in an FFPC at the 2-9, but of course, that came after Devon Achane was selected. So Achane recently quoted as saying he wants 1,000 rushing yards and 500 receiving yards as a benchmark. Cool to see that. He was just at a little bit above 900 yards rushing, so that tells you that Achane wants a little bit more inside running and just up the gut. But 17.6 fantasy points per game that you had alluded to, 87 targets last year in 17 full healthy games for Achane, 5 targets a game. Now we have those vacated targets. Now Achane, though, is talented enough where he's going to gobble up his fair share. When we talk about vacated targets, we're not just trying to give these to Malik Washington. This is Devon Achane, so you can extrapolate and have some fun with that. Achane was first in receiving yards and receptions for running backs in 2024. I'm all about some Devon Achane. Love Garrett Wilson, but this is just one of those clear hammer running backs, gives you some Jamar Charles vibes, and you had alluded to Chris Johnson. I mean, you can only get so bricked up, but
Yeah.
enjoy it. Enjoy it because it's happening. We are printing money with Miami Dolphins and Devon Achane. Speaking of printing money, though, here's another one that this one is tougher. We had Devon Achane, Aaron Jones, Jerry Jeudy, a package for a package. We know you love packages, Chev. Jordan Mason, Derrick Henry, Tyreek Hill, 2 quarterback. There's no quarterback swapping here. 10 teams, start 10, full PPR, 0.5 tight end premium. Chev, what's the breakdown on this? Is this one a little bit tougher? Is it close? What side do you like?
This one's a little bit tougher. I mean, I think the dynasty asset with the most sustained value here is still Devon Achane. So we're putting him one, and then we've got a bunch of older players and Jordan Mason. So where do you slot Jordan Mason? Well, we know that he's going to be in an offense that's been very, very good for the last couple of years, and you're giving up the 1A in the backfield to acquire his 1B potentially. So it's whether you believe Aaron Jones is going to stay healthy. That's the only question because he's really good at football. So for me, I'm looking at it as Achane we swap out for Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is awesome. He doesn't catch passes though, so in a full PPR, we bump him down just slightly. He was at 19 points a game last year. I don't know. I don't see any reason why he won't repeat that again. So you're taking a slight dip in production ever so slightly. I think, and then you got Tyreek Hill. So choose your own adventure with Tyreek Hill, wide receiver 33, off the board. And I believe in FFP, no, excuse me. I believe in our dynasty rankings. He's like wide receiver 33. You can't make more than a 1 year bet. The side with Derrick Henry, Tyreek Hill, and Jordan Mason, you're kind of making 1 year bets on guys with elite production. So I have to be on the Derrick Henry and Tyreek Hill side just because of the fact that if I'm on that side, that kind of you're choosing your own adventure, but I want to side with guys who have league winning, game breaking upside. If you believe Tyreek Hill is cooked, then you definitely want to be on the Devon Achane side. You're getting out of that business. I believe it's still going to be very profitable for you with Devon Achane and Aaron Jones. We hadn't even talked about Jerry Jeudy because of the quagmire that he's stuck with his quarterback situation. So he's kind of an afterthought. But again, if he does build on the breakout campaign, the 5th-year breakout campaign of 2024, that could put that over the top for this side. So if you're wanting to get out of the Tyreek Hill business and get into the Devon Achane business, this is a great trade for you. If you're wanting to get out of the Jerry Jeudy business and get into the Tyreek Hill business, if you're a contender, I'm with that too. So it makes sense for both sides, but I'm firmly right now on the Derrick Henry and Tyreek Hill side. I think Derrick Henry is going to have another monster year. I think Tyreek Hill is going to be more so of what he was in 2023 than he was in 2024. So I have to be on that side if I'm a contender.
The simplest way to get to the crux of this trade is to strike through and cross out Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason and see this as an Achane, Jeudy for Henry and Hill. And then it becomes a lot simpler because I see the path for Jones in PPR with the pass catching.
Mm-hmm.
I see the touchdown equity in Jordan Mason. And to me, it's so 50-50. I can't give a declarative, informed take on who I definitively think is going to outright rule that backfield. I have placed some bets and some game theory behind Jordan Mason and his touchdown equity and his price point in underdog streets and redraft for 2025. But cross those two out because I don't think they're smaller pieces that distract us from the bigger prizes. I would just say this is all a question of how much do you think Tyreek Hill clears Jerry Jeudy in 2025? Secondly, can Devon Achane create that PPR gap that overwhelms Derrick Henry's touchdown prowess? Jerry Jeudy, you spoke to. We haven't even gotten to him. 5th-year breakout. That's probably why it took a while for us to get to him because it took him 5 years to break out. 144 targets for Jeudy last year, ranked 7th. 5th in air yards at over 1,500. 90 receptions, was 11th at the receiver position. 1,229 receiving yards, ranked 6th. All that said, Tyreek Hill is 1 year removed from back-to-back 1,700 receiving yard seasons. Derrick Henry can hit 20 touchdowns. Go get the championship with Tyreek and Henry. No guarantee for either of them next year. So if you're willing to gamble on that, I think you definitely go for it. If you're more of a team that is rebuilding for the future, I do think you have to take this Achane, Jones, and Jeudy side. Maybe not like it so much. You can really tell a story if Achane hits like we had talked about as a Chris Johnson, Jamal Charles type, or the 101 back. This may end up looking foolish in a few months. At the same time, in the last trade from a portfolio process, we brought on some Devon Achane to our portfolio. So if we give away some Achane, This is one of those ways that we can get a win now team. You just hope Henry Hill bang it out for one more year, and then you've got your next couple of years of buy-in. Now we're talking about dynasty trades and something that could really help you up your game. Let's hear from the Podfather.
If you play in Dynasty, you need Dynasty Deluxe, our premium package for Dynasty Leaguers. We rank over 300 players, updated every week, all year long. And there's a win now mode and a rebuild mode with Superflex and tight end premium controls. And a Dynasty League sync where you can say, sync down all of my sleeper teams, all my FFPC teams, and then you can browse around your leagues for who has needs, and then you can use our trade finder to see what kinds of trades are happening in leagues that are similar to the one I want to do. Then you can analyze trades using our trade analyzer, which balances the lifetime value, which includes pick values out to like 2028. All of that plus the rookie guide $25 value is included. So if you're just in one Dynasty League, Dynasty Deluxe is well worth it. And use your host's promo code, and you can bump up to All In and get $25 off.
So we have the Miami Dolphins. They are printing money. Now, speaking of printing money, here is somebody who printed a little money for themselves. How far does it extend for these Miami Dolphins? Darren Waller, recently acquired via trade between the Dolphins and the Giants. Darren Waller on Underdog was unranked entirely in 1 week's time. Going back 1 week, you have a rise of 25 spots for Darren Waller. He's going in round 16 on Underdog. So that's a little bit of current market informing part of what we're doing in Dynasty here. But a 2026 round 3, you can see the settings, 2 quarterbacks, 12 teams, start 13. It could be any setting. This situation, a 26 round 3, I am so excited for this because this person likely got fabbed and then turned around to the other 10 league mates or 11 league mates. Or sorry, this is a 12-team league. They went to the rest of their league and found one person who would end up taking this pick. If this was an already there Darren Waller at the back end because you're a dormant player, not the best process. But if you cash out on Fab and turn around for a 26-3, kudos to you. What do you think, Shep?
Yes. No, I'm firmly on the side of the 2026-3, and I've been a big Darren Waller guy for a long time. I think he's going to be better than what people are giving him credit for right now. He's one of the special athletes that we've seen at the position, but it's still really difficult. I mean, we saw a version of Rob Gronkowski with the Buccaneers in 2024, I believe. I mean, excuse me, in 2022. I believe that was when he came out of retirement, or was it 2021? Either way, we saw a version of Rob Gronkowski that was still very good. But he wasn't the prime Rob Gronkowski of the New England Patriots dynasty days. He was still very good though. So I think Darren Waller might be okay. I don't think he's going to give us, double-digit points per game. I'd be very surprised if he played 17 games. I don't think he's played more than 12 since 2021. So I just don't think that it's worth it. And if you can get solidified draft capital, I mean, we saw this year, you and I were banging the drum for acquiring as many second and third round picks because of the value in this draft as possible. 2026 could shape up that exact same way. So if you're able to get a 32, 33-year-old player off of your roster that hadn't played football in 2 years for draft capital that will end up potentially being impactful, I'm all about that. So yes, I would love to have the 2026-3 here.
That's an absolutely great trade. I think the only other spot, let's say you acquire Darren Waller off of Fab and you can't get this trade that we have from Dynasty Daddy here. Wait until, say, week 3, 5. At any time there's just one excellent throwback game for Darren Waller. Put him on the block and see if you can get something, anything. Maybe it's a 27 third. Cash out where you can. Get out while you can. And Darren Waller, it's 2020. He averaged fantasy points per game, just about 17. His final season, 2023, it was just 9 points a game, only had 1 touchdown. It was just brutal at the end of his career. And we'll see if he's refreshed, rejuvenated. And it's funny enough, you were speaking to, Rob, is the quarterback discrepancy. You had the years of rapport between Brady and Gronkowski. And now you've got Tua, who really doesn't utilize tight end too much. He was out plenty last year. We saw Jonnu run pure, regardless of who the quarterback was there, and it wasn't broken. And the Dolphins decided to fix it. So this is a big regression, very tough scene. So if you can get out another time, right now you're probably not bound to. If nobody's gonna take your trade after you get the fab, you're gonna have to wait until we hit the actual season. But end of roster churn and burn, absolutely go and
Yes.
keep Waller until there is a good game. Because while we think he's quote unquote dust, the guy is a professional. He has done it before. I believe he can string together a couple weeks where it'll make some people. You're going to have the dynasty discipline to just say, hey, this isn't real. It's not going to be long lasting, and get out of the Darren Waller business. Next up, speaking of some business for a year 2 player and a year 1 player, but they have kind of similar situations, shadows or shades of Jackson Smith and Jigba coming into a crowded wide receiver room. You have Rome Odunze and a 26 round 4 pick, Chev, for Emeka Egbuka and a 26 round 3. So you get a better pick on the Egbuka side just by a hair. 2 quarterbacks, 12 teams, start 10, full PPR, 0.5 tight end premium. What side do you like?
Oh, I'm on the Rome Odunze side. And I love Emeka Egbuka a lot. I just had a higher grade on Rome Odunze coming out as prospects than I did Emeka Egbuka. And beyond that, I saw enough from him in what was scatter shot usage. We got 730 yards from him as a rookie and 3 touchdowns on 100 targets. Only 59 of those were catchable. So for me, I'm looking at Rome Odunze and I'm saying, hey, we know Ben Johnson's probably going to utilize a lot of 12 personnel. That would be the indication with taking Colston Loveland 10th overall. They still have a tight end that they paid $50 million to on the roster in Cole Kmet. We're arguing about who's going to be the alpha in this offense. What we should be talking about, in my opinion, is who slots in as the outside X wide receiver, who profiles is that the best in that Ben Johnson offense. And it is Rome Odunze. Now we can fight over what the other wide receiver spot is going to be, if they're going to heavily utilize 12 personnel, and that's fine. You're fighting over what DJ Moore and Luther Burden are going to be doing, because what Rome Odunze is going to be doing is lining up outside and winning, just like he did as a rookie. I do think those issues on the connection, the deep ball connection, are going to alleviate themselves. I think Caleb Williams is one of the most talented throwers of the football, and he's going to figure it out. He had some skips or some yips at times with the accuracy on the deep ball. But again, he was selected number 1 overall for a reason. If you watch him play football, you understand that. So I fully expect that connection to be one that pays major dividends. So give me the Rome Odunze side, Jared. Where do you land?
Hey, I love it, because this is where I'm going to go Emeka Egbuka, and I get the better pick. But really, it's not about the pick. I love Rome Odunze, but I love Emeka Egbuka a little bit more, especially in PPR. PPR weapon from the slot, great at hand fighting and positioning his body to the catch point, is Emeka Egbuka. I predict we get what we wanted from year 1 JSN with Emeka Egbuka. This is a good trade for either side. Odunze was drafted into a crowded receiver room. Egbuka as well. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Jalen McMillan. We're getting great reports, though, from Tampa Bay, praise from Baker Mayfield. I recently heard Theo Greminger talk about Emeka Egbuka being a bit of this year's Brian Thomas Jr. Emeka Egbuka is looking like a clear money zone wide receiver. He goes in round 8, so a little bit later than BTJ was going. Plus, I get the better pick. Sign me up for Emeka Egbuka. So I'm right there with Rome Odunze as being a player you want in year 2. But I'm actually going to go on the side of Emeka Egbuka. And I think he breaks through beyond the ambiguous in year 1, which is something that Rome couldn't do and JSN could not do. Granted, we're happy with where JSN is at, so we're not, everything isn't linear, and it's not a knock on Rome Odunze. I just see stipulation from where we're at. Emeka Egbuka is here in year 1, and I'm saying right now that it's not going to matter. So I think he's going to rise to the top, and getting him in round 8 for current market, great play on Emeka Egbuka. And I've got a rookie draft still out there. It's crazy. I got one out. It's a $200 a year league, and I've got the 109, and I'm really hoping I can pull the trigger on some Emeka Egbuka. I'm thinking about being real aggressive there.
Yeah,
So
I like that. I like that a lot. Again, we're both big Emeka people. Like I said, I have Rome a little bit. I had Rome a little bit higher as a prospect. I think there's a whole lot of meat left on the bone in terms of the 917 unrealized air yards that he had last year. It was almost unconscionable how many uncatchable targets he had. I was looking at that. There's 59 catchable targets. So I think that people that are leaving him for dead are saying that he can't make plays or that he's not a talented wide receiver, just completely throwing away the fact that they took him 9th overall. This is the same organization that did that, the same administration in the front office. So yeah, I'm on that side. You're on the Emeka side. I think Emeka is going to be really good. I think he could be better than what we're giving him credit for into a crowded wide receiver room. Important to note that JSN did suffer a wrist injury, so he missed all the training camp and was trying to get worked in there. Still finished with 63 catches, 628 yards, and I believe 4 touchdowns. So big fan of all players that were mentioned in this section of the show, but I'm on the Rome side.
And it's cool because in 2025, you really have to be in on these players. One, before it happens, and two, before I guess that's the same thing. Before you see it, you really have to just have this faith. It goes back to your pre-draft evaluations,
Right.
how you feel about, and this isn't being stubborn. There's a level of conviction where, because ADP dictates current market Rome Odunze, you do have to pay up for it. But if you really do believe in his talent, you ought to be there and still be there. If you have conviction, you want to stay with that player. I feel the same way about Emeka Egbuka. If it turns around, Emeka Egbuka has a poor first half or a poor first season, I'm still going to like the player evaluation unless I see him gain 40 pounds on the field and people start calling him Deebo Samuel. I'm going to have no choice but to still love the DDR Dance Dance Revolution ability that I see Emeka Egbuka having. So this is very fun. It's great radio because, you guys agree so much. Well, this one, we went our separate ways. Like, comment, share, subscribe to the show in the comments. Let us know, are you on Chef's side or are you on Coach's side, and why? Tell us. Maybe you have another reason beyond what we just brought up for both sides. Now, here's a crazy trade. Malik Nabers for Nico Collins and Derrick Henry. Superflex 12 team, start 11. A little bit deeper there. Full PPR, 0.5 tight end premium. No picks are crossing in this trade, but you've got Malik Nabers, just an absolute stud, for Nico Collins, who is a stud, and King Derrick Henry. Chev, I got to hear, what side are you on?
I'm on the Nico Collins and Derrick Henry side pretty comfortably. I think that Nico Collins was on a 2,000-yard pace before he pulled his hamstring. He pulled his hamstring on a 65-yard touchdown. Was out for 5 games. That offense, you clearly saw the absence of his presence when he was not out there. He's an Omega level talent. You saw what Mike Evans said about him. He's a combination of Mike Evans and Julio. That's a combination of 2 probable Hall of Famers at the position, and he's getting that praise from another player who's active. I think he's going to finish very high on the NFL top 100. That's going on right now on Twitter, if you follow that at all. The players are now becoming aware of how talented Nico Collins is. Feels fantastic for me because I've been a Nico guy for years now. So seeing him fully actualize and be better than what I thought he was going to be. And I do love the upside of Malik Nabers. He was my number 1 cornerstone dynasty asset way back. He still is. I still believe that his ceiling is nearly, it's unbelievable. The potential, right? I mean, he's 3rd all time in points per game for, a rookie season. OBJ is number 1, his LSU mate, or fellow alumni, however you want to put it. But this Nico Collins, Derrick Henry side is just too much production to put in your lineup. Way too many points leaving your lineup to acquire Malik Nabers. You could, in 3 to 4 to 5 years, whenever Nico Collins falls off, experience or suffer that dip in production. But I don't think there's any point in the next 2 or 3 years where Malik Nabers just absolutely laps Nico Collins in points per game. So I'm on the Nico Collins and Derrick Henry side.
Well, for me, like Leonardo DiCaprio in The Wolf of Wall Street, I'm not leaving. This is close to get me off of Malik Nabers, but I shy away a little bit at the prospect of Jaden Higgins. Let's say he takes on a greater role, who I know you like, Chev, and he flattens some of Nico Collins' target share. Derrick Henry, the obvious cherry on top, but the person who keeps Malik Nabers will have a shot at the title in years 2 through 5 versus this deal where the person will have the advantage in year 1. So part of that has to be your take on exactly where you're at and where you want to go. I just don't want to give up a guy who's going to give me the clear shot in years 2 through 5. Nabers has a shot to be the wide receiver 1 overall. I know you had some sentiments about Drake London. I'm there with you too.
Yeah.
Malik Nabers is another player like that for me. That we'll be talking 101 this time next year. I took Nabers 104 in an FFPC best ball tournament. I have full conviction on him. This is a great trade offer. I wouldn't scoff at it. I just wouldn't accept it. So there we are. We got 2 trades in a row. You've got the Nico Collins, Derrick Henry side. I've got Malik Nabers. So I love it because I spoke to 101 this time next year. Here's another trade where we've got the 101 with Ja'Marr Chase, current as it sits, and he's the wide receiver king. Then you have Malik Nabers and Devontae Adams, 2 quarterbacks, 12 teams, start 11, a little deeper, half PPR, 0.5 tight end premium. What do you do here, Chef?
We're so close. We're so close because, I mean, Ja'Marr Chase is the unquestioned king here. He's the wide receiver 1. He's the youngest Triple Crown winner ever. You know, he's 127 receptions, 1,700 yards, 17 touchdowns. That's really difficult for me to come off of if I'm a contender. I can't move Ja'Marr Chase. I can't do it. I can't do it. There's no reason to. This is close, but it would have to be uncomfortable. I've moved Ja'Marr Chase a couple times. I moved him prior to the 2024 season, and I regret that a lot. And I got some good stuff, but I regret that a lot. I just feel like if him and Burrow are healthy, he's going to be in that conversation for wide receiver 1 year over year over year. And it doesn't have to be Triple Crown. It could be, oh, cool, I spiked another 130 catch season. Oh, cool, I had another 1,600 yards and 13 touchdowns receiving. Prime Devontae Adams with, another Hall of Fame quarterback is what you're experiencing right now with Ja'Marr Chase hitting his stride, hitting his prime. So I'm on that side. I do think, like you said, there are merits here. Malik Nabers could be in conversation for wide receiver 1, but we're talking about the wide receiver 1, probably in a single quarterback league, the 101 off the board, currently the 101 on Underdog, if I'm not mistaken. So,
yep.
I mean, if almost regardless of format, I have to take Ja'Marr Chase because he's printing money. That's the theme of the episode. We're talking about printing money. I'm printing money with Ja'Marr Chase.
And Ja'Marr Chase to the current market in Superflex on Underdog, the tournament that just closed. Ja'Marr Chase was the highest non-quarterback player. And of course, he's the 101 in current market. He's in that elite tier. And just like I couldn't get off of Malik Nabers in that last trade, I just got to show you Ja'Marr Chase. I'm right there with Ja'Marr Chase. Now in this trade, we've shifted over to where I can't quite go to the Malik Nabers, Devontae Adams side. The Malik Nabers Adams side may present a little bit better value in year 1. It's not a guarantee to win the ship, but years 2 through 5, I still think Ja'Marr Chase clears Malik Nabers. And even this year, there's no guarantee that Nabers and Adams fully outproduce Ja'Marr Chase for what the war value is that Ja'Marr Chase gives you. Chase last year, the Triple Crown, 175 targets, 1,700 receiving yards, 23 fantasy points per game. Because of Adams' age, I might want one more cherry on top pick, like a 26 second, or even another outward first beyond. Like, hey, it's got to be a no doubt about it. And with Ja'Marr Chase, when you trade him, you really have to feel like you're ripping off the other person. I hate to say it, like you really have to feel like that person's taking out a mortgage for you to not feel like you're going to have some seller's remorse. Chase was also first in yards after the catch, fantasy points per game, red zone targets at 36. A minor nitpick here too, if we want to talk about that, bothers me a little bit. And I love Malik Nabers. That toe injury that kind of lingers. When you look, and maybe that's what can be a breaker this high up. The 32 and a half years old of Devontae Adams, that toe ailment that Nabers has. Jamar Chase is just built for tough, man. He's just solid. So I think that even helps me beyond just the fact that we already have the sure thing in Jamar Chase. What do you say to that?
Yeah, I mean, I fully agree with you. It's got to be a problem. It has to create problems for the other roster for me to unload Jamar Chase, and this does not cause enough problems on the other roster for me.
And sometimes what ends up happening is, since you have such a great player, you almost just decide, hey, I happen to be in this league and I have Jamar Chase. I'm going to keep him and ride that out, enjoy the fruits of that. Because at your point, you can trade these players all the time, but you do have to have some players that you just kind of enjoy the prime of their career. And if you have just a handful of Jamar Chase, I'd be very reticent to offload that. So these are some great trades, Chev. We're printing money with the Miami Dolphins. We have these razor sharp margins between Jamar Chase, Malik Nabers, Nico Collins. Very interesting how we threaded it today. It was a whole lot of fun. We will see you guys next week on Trade Gods.
From the Podfather to you, I deeply appreciate you tuning in. And many ask, what can I do? What can I do to help support the hosts, the research they do, the production costs? Go to playerprofiler.com, Dynasty Deluxe, World Famous Draft Kit, Rankings, DFS Dominator, and of course, data analysis. Subscribe to any one of those, and you support all of us and take Player Profiler to the moon.